This is my Soul Striker Gogeta burn deck. One copy of the leader. 4 SS Blue Gogeta Frenzy Burst. 4 SS4 Vegeta Rise of the Spore. 4 Majin the Fire West Pink Kai. 4 Kibito Kai's Attendant. 4 Gohan Baby's Minion. 4 Goku Overflowing Spirit. 4 Goku Striving to be the Best. 4 Tragedy Overground. 4 Chill's Army Reinforcements. 4 Senzu Beam. 3 Raditz Giant Force Unison. 3 Gotenks Absolute Unison. 3 Goku Protective Earth Unison, and 1 Baby Hachi X. Ironically enough, I did have a version of this deck right here. I was going with a Deadly Defender Gogeta Unison strategy to, stall long and to make it hard for my opponent to attack. And then, of course, I still have the Tragedy Overground strategy in there. And yes, there's the Android 17 play as the alternate win con, but this version to mainly just focus on the frenzy. I prefer to make something work than to just have it there hoping that it works, right? As they say. Nothing wrong with having a backup plan. Should always have a backup plan, but inherently this Gogeta is the backup plan, right? Because you could just win just by attacking every turn, and with the leader allowing you to untap energy all the time, you always have energy to play it negates your defense, right? So it won't be that hard for you to stay in the game long enough to win. So Gogeta is actually your backup plan. So you don't need a backup for your backup per se. Not saying you shouldn't have a backup. If you want to, you can. To take out Kibito Kai if you want and throw in Android 17. You do you. But I'm not going that route with this version. So I'm just going straight to just doing the Gogeta play. So the leader, auto, when this card attacks, choose one of these abilities, draw a card, or untap one of your mono blue energy. Awaken when you have 4 or less life, or you have a blue unison card with a specified cost of 3 in play. You can draw 2 cards and awaken. So Raditz Giant Force is our unison for that. So that's our specified 3 blue unison that we'll use to awaken early, pretty much turn 3, right? Definitely want to be able to try to do that on turn 3. Yeah, turn 3. So we have auto, when this card attacks, draw a card, then switch up to 2 of your mono blue energy to active mode. So we get the benefit of drawing and untapping. So basically, built-in Senzu Bean is how this works once he is awakened. So second auto, at the end of your turn, choose up to 1 of your blue unisons and switch it to active mode. That comes in handy with your specifically your Gotenks, with the ability to attack with it twice because it's a dual attacker, and then restand it so you can use it to block. Raditz already has the ability to restand itself plus drawing a card. So Raditz plus the leader, you get to draw 2 cards every turn, and of course the leader lets you untap 2 energies, and Raditz can block twice on your block 2 attacks on your opponent's turn, and you have 2 extra cards. You have 2 blocks, plus you have 2 energies to use for negates or for 10k combo if you need to combo off a Gogeta for example, just to survive a turn, right? So you have all those options, or be able to use those 2 energies for a Goku Overflowing Spirit, especially if you block twice with Raditz and then play Overflowing Spirit Goku to negate an attack, right, and then bounce the Raditz back to your hand. That way you can try to reuse it the following turn. Especially if you did a scenario where you did his -2 ability, where you played it, did his -2 thing, bounce one of your opponent's battle cards to their hand, and then blocked an attack, or 2 attacks, and he still survived because he is 19k, so it's pretty easy for him to survive some attacks. And then you can, use Goku to bounce back to hand, so you can reuse them to at least try to use the -2 again, ability again if you need to. And then using Kabito Kai to bounce back to hand to reuse it and just keep that little engine. The choice is yours. But the best one, other than the Super Saiyan 4 Goku Protector Earth, is Gotenks. He's pretty good, obviously, being able to attack with him twice. Restand with the leader's ability, and use them to block. And of course, use the -3 to clear your opponent's board, and then use this to bounce it back so you can play it again. Do its ability to clear, to its -3 ability to get rid of 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignore barrier, and attack twice, and all that good stuff. Or use it as a draw engine, play him, draw 2, swing, leader ability, untap. So you get the idea. There's a lot. We'll get back to that. So the leader untapping 2 energy is very, very awesome, especially for the way I like to play my Vegetas, because I like the idea of being able to play 2 of them, and that's very important because obviously we're trying to ramp up to 15 energy for our Gogeta burn play. So being able to play two Vegeta, 2 Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta in the same turn is important. The way I normally do that is with 2 Senzu beans. But what's nice is that we don't need the Senzu beans for that. We still have it in the deck because it has its use. You never know, you might need it for a combo play, but you're mainly going to use it. You're mainly going to use it defensively. You're going to use Senzu bean for defensive plays. Because what we're going to do is obviously play Vegeta, use Vegeta to wrap up to 4 energy, swing with the leader, use the leader's ability to untap 2 energy, so that way we're back at 6. That way we're at 6 energy. Since we have 6 energy, we can play a second Vegeta. And this deck is mono blue, so we'll definitely have the 6 specified blue to play the Vegetas. Play. Right, so we've got 2 Vegetas out, ramp up 4 more. So in 1 turn, you can ramp up 8 energy. So you can get 8 energy in 1 turn off of 2 Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and your leader's untap 2 ability. So there's that play. So part of what makes this leader definitely busted is being able to do that. Obviously to help us ramp up to this and get this get him out. I think if I'm right, as soon as turn 4. Give me a second. Yeah, turn 4, because what you would do is no. Yeah. I forgot. I think there was a turn 4 strategy I had this before, where I play a Imagine the Fire, use the leaders on tap 2 ability, and play another Imagine the Fire. Oh no, that's what it is. Because in order for me to awaken, I would need to play Raditz. So if I'm right, the play was, that's why we still need Senzu Bean for play Imagine the Fire for 2. Use the leader's ability to untap an energy. Use that energy to play Senzu Bean. Senzu Bean will of course untap the energy you tap plus the extra energy, so you be back to 2 energy. Then you play a second Imagine the Fire Supreme Kai at that turn. So that's turn 2 that you do that play, and then turn 3 you have 3 energy plus 2 of hers. That's 5. Yeah, turn 4. So then on turn 4, you can on turn 4, you can drop Vegeta. So you can do Vegeta turn 4 if you have too much in the fire and a Senzu Bean with the leader front effect before you even awaken. You can set it up so that way on turn 4 you can play Vegeta. Right, so no, turn 2. Yeah, turn 4. Yeah, turn 4. So I'm thinking turn 3. Turn 3, because on turn 2 you could get 2 Imagine the Fires out with 2 of her and Senzu Bean in the leader. You could get 2 of her out, and then on turn 3 you'll play your energy, and then you'll go you can go Raditz, or since you definitely want to get to turn 4, you save the energy for your Gohan baby's minion. There are options because you can. Oh no, there's that, but you can play Raditz, of course. Why not? You can play Raditz, use his -2 ability, bounce when he comes battle cards, because he will untap an energy, and you swing. And since you have him on the field, you can obviously awaken the leader, attack, untap 2 energies, draw a card, and you'll be back at 3 energy with the Raditz and the leader. So you'll have the 3 energy up for the Gohan play, but still have the ability to block 2 attacks with potentially block 2 attacks with Raditz. Plus, you already have Gohan active in what he does, obviously, right? And you pretty much will get to turn 4, and then turn 4, that's when you can try the Gogeta play, ramp up, use the leader's ability to untap 2 energies. So you have 6 and play another Vegeta. So definitely want to get multiples of these cards. 2 Vegetas, 2 Majin Fires, at least 1 Senzu Bean, a Raditz Shine Force, a Gohan Baby's Minion. These are cards you definitely want to have, so you can set all that up. And definitely at least 1 Gogeta in hand. You don't want him to accidentally get ramped, so you want to keep at least 1 in your opening hand, and then hopefully everything else plays out the way you want it, so that way you can drop this big bad boy turn. So if we do double Vegeta on turn 4, so then pretty much I think turn 5 or 6. I don't know exactly. I haven't played this. I just know like some of the basics strategy that I'm trying to go here with. But I definitely will be testing this deck out soon. But so there will be some gameplay. Since this is an IRL deck, forgot to mention that. So this is a deck I would actually have in real life. So definitely will be doing some test hands with this. But you get the idea. So around turn 5, turn 6, you should be able to Gogeta Frenzy your opponent. So we'll see how that plays out. A lot of talking. So you get the idea of what the deck's trying to do, right? So Gogeta, why are we playing him? Because he's 35k with barrier, so we don't have to worry about charismatic villain Frieza, but we still have to worry about a God Sealing. This deck, of course, still vulnerable to God Sealing because Gogeta doesn't have deflect. Either does SS4 Vegeta. So that's still something we gotta deal with. It's just it happens, right? Your opponent has a blue Unison and God Sealing. They have a blue Unison God Sealing, right? If you can hopefully attack it with your leader and maybe a battle card and get rid of it, get out of the way. Especially if you have like a Gohan Baby's Minion, it'll be a 25k, so you should be able to knock down a Unison, with that. Hopefully things play out properly. Then you can get him out. Another way is, obviously Gotenks with his dual attack, he can attack a Unison more than once, so you can use that to try to KO a blue Unison. You want to make sure your opponent doesn't have the blue Unison, so that way you don't have to worry about the God Sealing play, or free play, I should say. Because like I said, it's the main out to the strategy. Because you don't care if Vegeta gets God Seal. Charismatic Villain Frieza, because you still get the 4 energy ramp. He's only for ramp, and we don't need him to block. It's good that he could block, but we don't really need him to stay on the field too long. We just need him for the ramp mainly. But we definitely, since we have Gogeta has barrier, he's safe from Charismatic Villain Frieza and anything else that could be problematic that could make it hard to use our card's active main, which is once per turn, if you have 15 or more energy, choose up to 4 cards, 4 of your opponent's life, and place them at the bottom of their soul. This is how we will burn our opponent for 4 life. So the goal is to get our opponent down to 4 life. Obviously, constantly attacking opponent's leader with your leader will help us get your opponent down to 4, which is not that hard to do. First 4 energy is usually the easiest. The next 2 requires a little effort, and the last 2 is the hardest because your opponent's not going to let you take the last 2, easily. So that's why we want to get our opponent down to 4, and then just win with Gogeta, just because it'd be just a easier way to win the game. So, because he's badass. We got Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, of course. We already mentioned that we use him to ramp. Our leader is mono blue, so we can ramp. The deck is mono blue, so ramping for mono blue energy is not going to be difficult. He's a blocker at the end of the turn. Switches card attack mode, so you can attack with it and then restand it. So there's that. Margin of Fire with Supreme Kai has barrier and the permanent where you can tap her to for energy to play play cards. So this is the way we ramp up to get our Vegeta out a turn early. With the combo I mentioned earlier, using too much in the fire with Supreme Kai and a Senzu Bean on turn 2 can help you turbo out Vegeta on turn 4, which is nice. Most decks that's hard to do, except for this busted leader, of course. Then we got Gogeta Kai's Attendant. Active main. Switch this card to rest mode. Bounce one of your battle cards to your hand and choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards to recall, so less and bounce it to their hand. So this is a way we can reuse a Vegeta, because in case we do play Vegeta, right, we ramp up, but we don't get an extra copy, or we don't have an extra copy of Vegeta, or somehow he gets ramped, or somehow he's in the energy. This is the way we can bounce the one we already played back to our hand to replay it. You know what I mean? It won't be that hard to afford it, right? To afford to do that, because we do have we have a Senzu Bean. We got a Senzu Bean. Okay, we got a Senzu Bean, ability to help us untap energy, so we can play him out and then use him to bounce it back to our hand, play him for 6, and then go from there. We don't have to play the strategy back to back. Like in the same turn, we can play Vegeta one turn, and then the next turn bounce it back to our hand and play it, because obviously we have more than enough energy to play him and play Gogeta for 8. So, and then of course we'll ramp 4 after we play the Vegeta. So we'll definitely still have energy left over to make other plays. And of course, stuff you'll want to do is definitely Super Saiyan 4 Goku, because this will help you get another turn, just with his Floodgate ability plus his -2 ability to bounce all your opponent's battle cards to their hand, so it gives you the ability to get extra turns. So there's that. Then we got Gohan Baby's Minion, of course, for his ability to negate an attack and his auto. When this card is played, your opponent can't attack for the turn unless they choose one card from the hand and place it at the bottom of their deck, which is the best way to get rid of cards, is to bottom deck them. You don't want them in the drop, you don't want them in the warp. Definitely don't want them to be shuffled into a deck, because game theory wise, at some point your opponent can always get that card back. So bottom decking is usually better, because it's very, very hard to access the bottom of your it's hard for your opponent to access the bottom of their deck. There's like 1 or 2 decks that could do it, but on average it's usually hard to access the bottom of a deck. So definitely take advantage of that. So this is the blue topo of the deck, and with his servant ability it'll be a 25k, so that's decent card to apply pressure on your opponent, especially to help you get them down to 4 life. Then we got SS3 Goku, Overflowing Spirit, of course. Negate an attack. Your leader is mono blue. Choose one of your blue unisons in your unison area or drop area and add it back to your hand. So this will allow us to recycle unisons. Then, bouncing it back to a hand with Kibito Kai's ability, so we can use it to, one, negate an attack, and two, be able to reuse our unisons, especially if we use their minus abilities, to be able to bounce back to hand so we could replay them and use them over and over again. It's always good. It's always good to have reusable resources. Goku's strength to be best has barrier, permanent. Your opponent's battle cards with 2 costs or less can't attack, and this definitely puts in work from time to time. Sometimes there's situations where it's not that useful, but that's okay. Just charge it as energy, right? Not that big of a deal. But there's times where it definitely puts in work, definitely comes in handy. And then, of course, we got Tragedy Overground, Field card, permanent. This card can't be removed from your battle area by the skills of your opponent's battle cards. Second permanent, when your opponent plays a battle card with an energy cost 4 or more, place it into the energy area in rest mode instead of actually playing it. And then auto, when this card is activated, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place them into the owner's energy area in rest mode. So it's a 9 cost board wipe. And of course, in this deck, it wouldn't be that hard to play it because you could play it the turn after you drop. This is for Gogeta. Thinking of something. 2, 6, 7, 6, 8. The best I can do. I was just thinking of if there's a way I could play Tragedy Overground after I play Vegeta. If I could do it in the same turn with like 2 cents of being in the leader, but really 3 cents of being in the leader effect and Vegeta, I could play Tragedy Overground. So that's a possibility. Again, you gotta have multiples of cents of beings or to pull that off. But the simplest thing is obviously play Vegeta, stall for a turn, and then drop Tragedy Overground. The main play you want to do with Vegeta, if you don't have the ability to like second Vegeta. I mean, just in general, even if you do 2 Vegetas in one turn, you definitely want to still be in a position where you do 2 Vegetas in one turn. Then you want to Senzu Bean so that we can be back. You can back up to 5 energy and use that 5 energy for the Goku play, so that way you can pretty much guarantee an extra turn. You have 2 blockers plus this auto in effect, plus your opponent board should be cleared by the -2 ability, and then you can get to your next turn where you can drop your Goku Frenzied, be able to use its Wind Calm ability. Or at least be close to doing so. Because we were trying to ramp up real fast, obviously, so we won't get 15 exactly. Because if you think about it, if we do this on turn 4, that means we have 4 energy, and then we ramp 4, then we play the strategy, then we ramp 4, so we have 12 actually. So then on turn 5 you have 13, so yeah, 13. So you won't be able to do Frenzy's ability until to 13, right? So 14, 15. Wait, 4? You do 2 of them on 4. Oh, that's why. You do 2 on 4. So yeah, that way 13 on turn 5. But then you bounce. So you have 13, bounce Vegeta back to your hand, play Vegeta, get you 4 more. So it's 13 plus 4, so 17. 17, take away 6 because you play Vegeta. So it leaves you at 11 energy. Of course, you pay 2 for margin for Kabuto Kai's attendant, but that's okay because you'll swing with the leader, untap 2 energy, so you'll be back at 11. And yeah, you could drop. So yeah, you could do turn 5. Just gotta bang, bang, bang. Yeah, you just gotta Kabuto. So that's it. That's it. Just throwing Kabuto Kai into that mix, and that's why it's good that he's in there, right? Throw him into the mix and get your. I mean, if you could play 3 Gogetas, 2 on turn 4, and then play the third copy on turn 5, right? Use the leader ability on tap to make sure you have 10 energy, and then drop a Gogeta, and then yeah, there you go. That's how you can do Gogeta's ability on turn 5. So yeah, you could do his win con on turn 5. You just gotta be able to play Vegeta 3 times. That's all. 3 times, and then Gogeta for game. So where was I at? We are Tragedy Overground. Yep. So now we're at Chill's Army's Reinforcement. Counterattack. Leader cards mono blue. So you can negate an attack and then play a token. The token will be 10k power with the blocker skill for the duration of the turn. And then as a permanent, if you have 5 or less life, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by adding 1 card from your life to your hand and playing this card for free. So this is definitely very useful. As a free negate. It's just really good. It just goes. It's just an extra baby hatch egg, basically. It's just a way to keep your defenses up. That's the most important thing. As long as you can keep your defenses up and can always guarantee an extra turn, you always have a higher chance of winning. Because at any moment your opponent can go off and try to go for game. So the ability to survive that turn increases your chances of winning. So it's that. And of course, this is not a once per turn, so you can play multiple copies as long as you have the life to play multiple copies of this card. But with this deck's ability to untap energy, especially 2 energy, it's not that hard to at least pay the 2 and save your life for something else. But the choice is yours how you use it. That's what I like about this. Busted leaders, the versatility, the options. You don't have to choose one way or the other. You can have both. Such a busted leader. Sense of Being, of course, active battle. Choose up to 1 of your cards and it gets 5k power for the duration of the turn. And then you can choose 2 of your energy and switch it to active. So we do a lot of busted stuff. Normally we try to save Sense of Being to play it with our Gogeta, but we don't. This deck we don't need it per se, but it does has its use depending how you combo it. But you don't need it as much as you would need it in other decks. Because other decks I use Sense of Being as if it was Soul Striker, just to give those decks a Soul Striker like ability. Because untapping energy is very useful, especially with Vegeta, because you play him ramp 4, untap 2, right, so that we have 6, and play another one with him. Or play some other stuff. Keep that 6 energy up so you can play 2 Baby's Minion on your opponent's turn. It's nice. That way it's 2 cards for every attack they make. That kind of stuff. Or be able to put a Raditz and use a Gohan. Be able to play those 2. So having more energy to make bigger, to make better plays and combos and stuff. And that's the point of a combo deck, right? Is playing multiple cards together. So I need multiple energy for that. So that's why this leader is busted. Then we got, of course, Raditz, Giant Force, 19k blocker. Auto once per turn. When you activate the blocker skill, you can switch attack to him so that we can obviously block again. So you can block 2 attacks plus 0 ability. Active main, draw a card, and switch this card to active mode. So it already has the ability to restand itself, so you can attack with it and restand it just with that ability alone. So you don't need to use the leader's ability to restand it. But if you do attack with it, let's say you want to do the -2 ability. Alright, so do the -2 ability, swing with it anyway, so that way you can try to get rid of 2 battle cards by swinging and by its -2 ability. Then use the leader to restand it, so that way you can block 2 attacks on your opponent's turn, or at least try to, right? Because every time, you block, if their attack is stronger than 19k, then you lose a marker. So if he only has 1 marker, your opponent has a 20k attacker, then you die from the first attack. But if you can survive the first attack, there's a second block you can do. Then we got the Gogeta Tank's Absolute Unison, dual attack, 20k, really good for applying pressure, really good for attacking unisons to keep their marker count down. Down. Because some unisons +2 markers, some unisons only do 1, so the ability to attack twice comes in handy for those 2 situations. Then of course, just being a dual attack is good, because if you attack your opponent negates the first attack, that's fine. You'll restand and attack again, so it can help you waste their negates or burn their negates, whichever way you want to call it. It's a blocker, so you can attack with it and block. With this leader, it has great synergy, because when you're awakened, you can attack with it twice and then restand by the leader's ability, so that way you can still block. So that's busted. And then this -2 ability, so you can draw 2, hand advantage and getting a whole bunch of good cards to play, especially a Baby Hatchiac, for example. So -2 is very useful, especially against a hand control, and more people are trying to play hand control again, so definitely want to keep that in mind and try to make sure you have a good amount of draw engines, or just some ways to reduce your opponent's ability to rip your hands. One way I do that is with Goku. Goku Adventure Begins and the 4-star ball. That's a way I can keep my hands pretty big. If my opponent does play like Rebrand or some type of hand destruction type ability, I can use that to mitigate that effect. I can be like, alright, I'll put the 4-star ball back in my deck, or discard my 4-star ball. I'd rather discard that, because I could always get it back, than to discard something good, like some key combo piece that I might need. So where are we at? Oh yeah, and his -3 ability, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place them at the bottom of his deck. Again, bottom decking cards is the best way to get rid of stuff. Then we got Super Saiyan 4 Goku, Protector of the Earth. Auto, when you play this card, during your opponent's next turn, they can't attack with battle cards unless they choose one of their other battle cards with energy cost 2 or more and place it at the bottom of the deck. And then the -1 ability, where you can draw 2 cards and then choose 1 card from your hand, place it at the bottom of your deck. So, a little bit of a draw engine there. And then -2 ability, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and return them to the owner's hand. Really good. Obviously, the almighty push. So being able to play that, get the auto plus the -2, so that we could just get an extra turn is always good. Set your opponent up. Make it where you get the extra turn. So essentially, time won't. Too good. Plus, he's 15k, so make sure you do attack with him. So take advantage of attacking with him. Definitely want to make sure your opponent's at 4 or less for your Gogeta play. Then, Baby Hatchiac, of course. Counter attack if you have 3 or more energy. Negate the attack and play this card. Your opponent can't attack for the rest of the turn. Second permanent, if your leader card is mono blue, which it is, you can choose 1 other card from your hand and discard it in order to play this card for free. So a free turn. So obviously, great card, big fan, and that is the end of the video.